The Connector Next Door is your invitation to meet the natural connectors all around us. They represent the everyday event planners who are energizing their communities every single day. Their stories are familiar, fun, and full of charm. Your host, Lisa Garrow, is a lifelong event planner and has been a connection strategy coach for over a decade. She knows events can become energized connecting points where communities can gather and grow. Let's listen in as she strikes up a conversation with today's Connector Next Door.
Arlene Schilke grew up in northern rural Manitoba. That unique and energized upbringing led Arlene to recognize at an early age the importance of being in community and building a network of support. She continues to thrive off of connecting with people and connecting people to each other. Arlene founded her event agency, Timewise Event Management, over 25 years ago and has won several awards since then. It was Arlene's involvement with MPI, or Meeting Professionals International, that spurred in her the need to unite others in the events industry. Her mantra, community, connections, and collaboration, was instrumental in helping her grow her MPI chapter so that it doubled in size. And it was here that she realized the desire for people in the events industry to connect. As we discussed today, Arlene is the creator and founder of Go West Live, which has grown to be the largest gathering of meeting and event professionals in Western Canada and the largest gathering of event professionals in Canada outside of Toronto. Arlene has successfully developed Go West to be one of the few industry events that is truly geared towards event planners. When it comes to making connections within the event industry, Arlene shares her words of wisdom for us all to stay open, curious, and willing to be pleasantly surprised. You never know where your next great connection will come from. Who knows? Maybe it'll be at Go West this year. As my spin instructor said, let's get this party started. Welcome, everyone, back to the Connector Next Door and to a really, really special conversation. It feels a little bit like we are, Arlene, in the best of both worlds right now, because we are right after Christmas holidays. A lot of people doing all sorts of different holidays coming up to the end of the year, and then now moving into what is the new year as of this recording, which we're looking at 2026, I think, with a ton of optimism. I'm not sure if you've heard 2025, they say, was the year of shedding and becoming more authentic and telling our truth. And 2026 is the fire horse. So it's like putting all of that in motion and letting ourselves be who we authentically are. And what a beautiful space to have this conversation with you. I had mentioned, well, to everybody that comes on here, it is more about you than your work. But we know in events, we're very much almost one and the same. So when we start taking on the roles of either an event planner or somewhere in the events world, it has to come from that place of knowing that we know that this is either how we're built or what we love or what we want to learn and learn more of. And you have been such a catalyst. You and Brent have been such a catalyst to really allowing people to go into that space of learning and growing and sharing. So welcome here. I'm so glad you're here to be my guest today.
Oh, thank you, Lisa. And I really appreciate the invitation. And after listening to some of the other podcasts, it's really just an honor to be here and have this conversation with you.
What was the first year of Go West?
2018.
2018. So we'll get to that eventually, but 2018 feels like really a world ago when you started all of this. But before we get into all of that, I would love to hear from you. The big old question here on the podcast, but what does connection mean to you personally or in your world today?
Oh, man, that's actually a really deep question, and it would probably just take so much to unpack it. But to me, connection is just having a relationship with other people and meeting new people and growing that whole circle, I guess, of connections that we have. And I think I came from a place where working in the events industry was very much working in a silo, very much a solo endeavor. And when I started realizing that there was other people who were doing the same thing that I was doing, I just felt this need to connect with other people and to find out what other people were doing and to support other people and get people to help support me. And I think I never realized I guess, how important those connections were until I started having them.
Mm. You know what's so cool about what you're saying is that there always seems to be, and it doesn't matter what industry you're in or even where you're looking for connection, but when you start to find those common denominators, like the things that you're both really excited about, or you really find a common almost language in how you're talking about something, how that creates a connection, almost an instant connection with some people.
It is interesting when you meet somebody and you have something in common with them. You instantly do feel a connection. And it doesn't matter if it's, oh, I have kids, you have kids, I'm married, you're married, we're in the same work, we've traveled somewhere to the same place and we can share that experience together. There's just something about having something in common with somebody else. And I think that you can find something in common with absolutely everybody that you meet. You just have to sometimes dig a little bit deeper for it.
Totally. And you can probably tell from the opening question, but I really struggle with small talk. I go deep fast. I love deep conversations, but the initial getting to know somebody and even retaining relationships, I think sometimes to find those common denominators where we can find ourselves and maybe someone else's story, but also vice versa, that we can really start to see the commonalities, find those little pieces that start to weave together a relationship that starts growing. That's, I think, something really exciting.
Yeah.
So when you were younger, did you find that in your family, you are a mom, you've got kids now at home over the holidays as well, but did you have a large family that you were growing up in? And was that an important part of learning about connection when you were younger?
Yes, I guess it probably was. I've never actually thought about that before, but I did come from a larger family and a rural farming family, I guess, in northern Manitoba. And so there is definitely being in community was really important. Um, Whether that was the school community, the church community, the neighborhood community, the farming community, like there was all these different pockets of communities, I guess, that we belonged to. And you never really felt alone, even though we lived in northern Manitoba on a farm. We never really felt isolated because there was always different communities that we were involved with.
And probably overlap with those communities too, right? Like if you're on the hockey team, you might also be helping out, on Sunday afternoon somewhere too. And it's interesting when we start to think about how those early experiences shape who we are and what we do and what we choose to do in later life. And as we get a little more, even this last year for myself, like really getting clear on myself, I was with my mom this summer as she was quite ill and passed this summer. And boy, did it bring up so many memories of growing up in Manitoba and Winnipeg, and a reminder of why, for me, it's so important to be gathering people together, or at least helping others to do that. It can be learned. I call people that come on this podcast, I invited you because you're a natural connector, and I believe that to be true. But a lot of people will say, well, I'm not really a natural connector. I just happen to, XYZ, whatever they tell me they do. But it is so important for us to actually pay attention to where those things are coming from and maybe what informed our work today, because I think so much of that is our authentic voice. What do you find when you start talking with some of your clients, or when because you do run an event company, so maybe you could tell us a little bit about that. And when you're working with people, have you noticed how you've been able to bring some of that and even some of maybe the down home, small town, northern Manitoba into some of that work that you've been doing?
Our company actually has really kind of shifted during the COVID years, and we don't actually do a lot of client events anymore. I think the whole events industry has changed during COVID in so many ways, and so many people have sort of redesigned or reimagined what their business is all about. And so for me, that's probably a disconnect right there, is that I did find it hard to connect with my clients sometimes. And it's hard when you're not on the same page or when you don't really align to be able to work that closely with a client. It's too hard sometimes to work with people that you don't feel connected to.
So many people, I think, struggle with the right fit, right? Not just when we're hiring somebody in, but when we are bringing ourselves into a project or into something that doesn't feel aligned to us. Do you want to tell us a little bit about what that is like for you than to choose something that is more aligned.
Well, it's something that I've definitely have struggled with, and I see so many colleagues struggling with it as well because we feel like we have to be the right fit for every person. And
Mm.
we often, I've tried to explain it to people. It's sort of like dating. Like you wouldn't date every single person. You find the person who's the right fit for you and who really aligns with you and your values and can work with you and it's a good fit. I think sometimes with the client, it's the same way. Like not every client is going to be a good fit, and you don't have to try to make it work. And I was just chatting with a colleague before Christmas, and she's like, I feel like I need to take this project on because I need the work. And I'm like, when one door closes, we know another door always opens. Like, if you tie yourself up with this client that's not a good fit, you're not opening yourself up or leaving yourself available for something else that might be better. But it's so scary, I think, as an event contractor or a solopreneur to do that because you want to make sure there's food on the table and you want to take everything that comes your way because you're so afraid that there might not be something else coming along next. And so I just think that we just need to be more careful and choose our work more carefully, and you don't have to take everything that comes along.
And it almost seems counterintuitive, right? Because when we're talking about connection, it's like, oh, connect to everybody and that there's a place, to connect with anybody or common
Yeah.
denominators that we can find with almost anyone. But the truth is, connection is also about being selective. Being selective helps you create what a true connection could be. And again, it doesn't mean that we don't want to be inclusive in our events or diverse in who we hire or how our speakers, et cetera, et cetera. But it does mean getting really clear on who we are and how we want to show up, what kind of gatherings really matter to us. And in the context of somebody that is taking on client work, boy, that's a muscle we all need to work, hey? Where it's just saying the closer we get to ourselves, I think the more that becomes maybe an easier task, or the closer we get to what our company really could do in the world, I think the easier that selection starts happening, where we really start to filter out some of those clients or those opportunities that aren't a great fit for us.
Yeah, I like how you frame that, Lisa. And I really like that word selective because that's really what it is. And you have to be brave and courageous and have faith that, you're doing the right thing and that you just
Mm.
trust the process. That's
And
hard to do.
trust ourselves. I know. I was just having a chat with my daughter this morning about people pleasing, and we were kind of going into the depths of what does it mean to say yes to things, and what then are we almost unconsciously saying no to because we've said yes to all these things. And it's important, I think, for many of us to be really aware of it or to get a support system around us, which kind of brings me, I guess, to what you've created through Go West as well. So when you talk about people coming together, or even how you started out doing that connection where you start talking to people and meeting people and finding those common denominators, and you've created Go West, that does feel like the container for a lot of that once a year. It's not every month, it's not every week, but certainly a container that creates connections in a way that can be a catalyst or sort of jumping off point for stronger, better, deeper connections sort of after every one of these conferences. So could you tell us a little bit about Go West? And let's pull back the curtain a little bit, and how are you orchestrating it in a way to create really strong and meaningful connections?
Yeah, it's really been such an exciting journey. Creating Go West and then seeing it grow and just the difference that you can see that it makes in people's lives in terms of connections. I mean, we originally started Go West, I guess, to connect people, but also to offer event education to planners in particular. And from that, just watching people gather at Go West year after year and finding like-minded people that they can relate to, connect with, find just that common denominator with each other, and seeing them grow and make connections and find new resources, find new people to support them, find new jobs, hire new people. Like it's just really exploded. We just, constantly hear stories, success stories from people of how Go West has made a difference in their lives and in their business. And that alone is just so rewarding.
Hmm. And how many attendees now?
We're over 600 now. We grow by about 100 every year. So hoping to hit 700, maybe even 800 this year. We'll have to see.
Amazing. And that is early February. So that is the
1 to 3,
one
February.
to three. So why go west? Because this is for those of you that are out there that are listening and you're wondering about what is there for planners or people in the events world here in the west of Canada. You're listening from all over the world, I know, but why go west? Why is this really important for the western part of Canada?
Brent and I were attending a lot of industry events, and we met so many people from around the world, from Eastern Canada and from the States, from Europe. So it was so beneficial for us to really widen our circle of connections and networks worldwide. But we realized there really weren't very many people from Western Canada coming.
Mm.
And after going to a few, I said to Brent, like, could we just if it's not possible for planners to take the time off, or to financially be able to go to some of these events like we are, could we create something in Western Canada to make it easier for them to access education and just to get connected to people like we were blessed to get to connected to people? And so in 2018, I said to Brent, if we can get like 100 event planners out to this, that would be a huge success. I think we had close to 300. And that's when we were like, okay, we knew we were onto something then, because it's like, this is really what people want. They want the event education and they want to connect with other people. As event planners, we plan events all the time, and rarely is there something that we actually get to go to. So for so many planners, they're like, this is really nice. Like, I don't have to worry about the name badges. I don't have to worry if there's enough coffee. I can
Mm.
just come, connect with other people, and get access to resources and education. So it was definitely a win.
And so those first couple of years, which is an amazing time when we kind of think of the timeline from 2018 to 20 now, almost 26 of Go West. And in the middle of that was a global pandemic that shook everything upside down. Can you tell us a little bit about the connections that had already been happening for a couple of years? How maybe that helped you either to stay in motion or help you recover from what was one of the hardest times for those in the events world?
Mhm. We were fortunate to do Go West 2020 right before the pandemic hit. We were
Right. Yeah.
actually happened. So 2020 didn't really affect us. And 2021, because our community had just really expressed that they wanted to stay connected. I mean, yeah, it really did hit the events industry hard. We were able to do quite a few virtual events during 2021. And then 2022 was a planning year. And then 2023, we met back in person. We didn't really miss a beat. So it didn't affect us as
Mm.
much as it did some of our other events, I think. I think
Hmm.
the events industry it was pretty easy to recover from that because the events industry just wanted to keep on going and get back together.
Oh, yeah, exactly. One of the most inspiring things for me, being with events people, is that there is the get yourself up, dust yourself off,
Yeah.
have a moment, find people that care, and in many ways, really allowing ourselves to be real. Did you find that in 20, so you said you were back 2023 was the sort of the first in person back. So did you change any of the programming? Was there kind of a shift in how you decided what people could learn while they were there, or what kind of connections were happening afterwards?
Not really too much, but I think what we saw, and I don't know if this was a result of COVID or just a result of Go West evolving, is people wanting to connect more. On a deeper level and in more niche groups. So I
Mm.
think like leading into 2023, we started having more niche meetups and connecting people. And maybe also because the event grew so big, so it was so hard to try to find somebody who was doing the same type of work as you were in the coffee lineup because there was just so many people there now. So we started doing more niche meetups so that the events industry just incorporates so many different types of events. You've got wedding planners, you've got people who do trade shows, association planners, corporate planners, independent contractors. There's just so many different niches, I guess. So we started trying to connect people more so they could meet people who were actually working in the same area as they were. And that's really what people wanted is they wanted to they loved Go West because it's so big. But they also love being able to connect with smaller groups of people. And we're seeing a trend to that right now where smaller events are almost gaining more traction than the larger events because you can get more connection and meet more people sometimes at a
Hmm.
small event.
Well, and I think we're moving so fast. These niche groups probably speak to that feeling that if we're with a smaller or relatively smaller group that knows our area of expertise or something we're working on, or we can have a real conversation, I can imagine how that would make people feel even more connected to the body, to what Go West is, because they feel like, oh, I really had a heart conversation with somebody that really changes either how I think or that I can keep going. I can go home tomorrow and just keep getting up every day and doing this work because it's so important. I feel so strongly that it's so important that we need to keep going. For you and I, being in events for a long, long time, we don't get here without a lot of down days and a lot of questions and maybe a lot of insecurity around what's next. And we've all been there. So how do we support each other in that?
Yes. Yeah. And I think there's something to be said about knowing that you're not alone and that other sometimes you
Mm,
feel like you're the only one who has this problem, or you're the only one
mm,
who, you know, maybe even deals with anxiety, or you're the only one who like really feels like a certain way. And when you meet other people who share that same fear, insecurity, it does make you feel better. Like you feel like, okay, I'm not crazy. I'm not alone. This person has the same problem I do. And then put your heads together and figure out how you can solve it or overcome it.
yeah, exactly. And that's where leading from Go West, probably those opportunities to connect after the event, that becomes our responsibility. So you can't be with everybody, all 800, 600, 800 people after the fact, but what a beautiful opportunity for any of us. Anytime you go to a conference like this or you find that grouping of people that are like-minded, or they get where you're coming from, or maybe can identify a little bit on where you want to go, how can we start leading ourselves forward into something? And whether that's doing events differently, shaking up what does it look like for us to be either in business or really doing something that more is aligned with who we are. Choosing clients, like you were saying earlier, choosing clients that are going to make our life not easier necessarily, but more fulfilled, and in a way that it's really going to give us that, I guess, space to really see what's next. Like how do we scale up from where we are today?
Yes. Yeah.
How beautiful is that? Any suggestions for people that are listening into this on how they could maybe move forward from a Go West experience? Like what's happening on site that they could take with them to create better connections in the months that they're not at Go West?
We're just exploring something right now, so I actually don't want to in case it doesn't happen, but we are looking into a way that will help people stay connected post Go West and kind of throughout the next, 12 months until Go West happens again. But just even simple platforms like LinkedIn, like connecting with somebody. It's one thing to meet somebody in the coffee lineup, introduce yourself, exchange a few sentences, but like connecting on LinkedIn and trying to stay connected to people. I think that in my career, just being able to build relationships with people that have led me to meet somebody else through like, it's just all so connected. And I think the bigger your circle is, and you don't have to be best friends with everybody, but I think the bigger you can grow your network of connections and just meeting people and staying in touch, it just really will benefit you down the road. Whether it's needing help from that person or an introduction to somebody or just support, it's just so important to grow that circle.
Mm-hmm. And I think too, like, where is the place for socially connecting? What a joy to meet people where, yes, we're doing a job, and yes, we're really passionate about what we do and we work with excellence, all that stuff. But really to allow ourselves to enter into these relationships where we don't have to necessarily put on the event mask, that we can find ways and people that can enhance who we are as people and our lives as well. Have you noticed that in your work, that you have made friendships over all these
Yes.
years?
Yes. And some of the people that I have deeper friendships with now are not even they're in the events industry, but not even in the same type of work that I do. And maybe it's
Mm,
that's attractive too, is finding people who understand what you do and know what you do, but they do something totally different. Because you can find inspiration from the work that they do, and
Mm,
just the differences, I guess, more
mm.
sometimes even than what you have in common are finding interesting things in the differences.
I love that. And I love that it really feeds into the whole idea of overlapping. Like when you're talking about this sort of this small town, like there's connections here and here and here, but that overlapping of life and work. And I love what you're saying here too about sometimes the differences can create even stronger bonds, because they can support us in something that maybe we're curious about learning or that we maybe need to learn in some ways. And then, vice versa, that there's going to be others that we can pull into that circle that could also be part of that. I love that way of thinking about moving forward and the friendships that could be created as well.
But I do see, like, and I guess this is one thing that you get out of social media is you see what other people are up to. And I see people who are in the events industry going on
Yeah.
vacation together or going cross-country skiing together or doing activities together. And I think, how cool is that? Like, not only do we work in the same industry, but they found something else that they enjoy together and they're now doing it together. And so
Hmm.
I think it is really cool to see people growing in their friendships and relationships outside of work.
Yeah. And I wonder what that says from the outside to people that are choosing to work in events now. When we're talking about the personal benefits of being in a group that works hard and plays hard, I would say, what do you find that for people that are coming in or they're curious, either they've left the industry, many through COVID, I'm not even sure what the stats are, 70%, maybe over 70% that we've lost through COVID, but now either are trying to re-enter and in a healthy, self-assured and confident way, or they're brand new. Maybe they're coming from, I work with a lot of administrative professionals that do this in their work, and some of them actually now move forward to becoming a contractor or working in events more fully. And what do you find for people that are coming into this that maybe are feeling a little bit unsure if they can really make the transition or find it in themselves? Like you said, even on LinkedIn, we also see a lot of the highlight reels of everybody that's doing everything really amazingly and they might have some anxiety or just some questions about that. What would you say to somebody that is just starting to come into this space and getting curious about investing or reinvesting in a big way?
I don't know. I mean, I guess one thing about the events industry is there are no barriers. And, probably a dozen years ago, that used to drive us crazy because everybody wanted to be an event planner and everybody wanted to do events. And I feel now that it has shifted. And you're right, it is harder to get people into events because I think people value their time more. And event planners do work really hard. Like it is work hard, play hard. And it is sometimes like a 24/7, like especially leading up to an event. I mean, there's not a lot of downtime right before an event. You have to put the time in, you have to make the event happen. And I think that scared a lot of people off, especially like maybe the Gen Z group is like, I don't know if I really want to work that hard. There's other jobs that I could do that would be easier that are going to pay me the same amount of money. So, what is going to happen with the
Yeah.
events industry? Are we going to be able to attract enough people in, or does the events industry have to change a little bit? I don't know, Lisa. I'm really curious to see how this is all going to unfold.
You and I, again, have been at this a long time. And we have a certain way of the perception of how we worked, even how we were raised, how I was raised. Like you just go full on and make hay, as they used to say. You do the work when you need to do the work. But you're right, things have changed, people have changed. I believe our society has changed. And if we look at it with opportunistic glasses, not rose colored, but what can we learn from the Gen Z? What can we learn from the need for smaller connections or smaller sort of groupings, or from the need for giving people opportunity? Because I think people aren't wanting to do less or have less responsibility necessarily. I think they want to be challenged in a way that lights them up. I think they want to give themselves the best shot at growth and what's next for them. And if they're younger, what does it look like to build a career? And maybe the industry has to adjust a bit or a lot, depending on what area we're talking about, to make room for a new way. If the industry doesn't have to adjust and reformulate and then invite people in. But what if we invited people in that changed the way we did things? Would that be a way that we could actually start entering into a different experience of what it means to work in events? And they are not just the leaders of tomorrow, but I believe that they are the leaders of today, if given a platform and a way to work that works for them too. I say them, but I also think for myself, like I've always been an out of the box thinker, and I've done things differently. So where is that space? And I think what I saw in Go West and these niche groups, I think you had that name.
Was it just niche meetups, I think?
The meetup. So depending on if you're a supplier or if you're a planner, and just to have those conversations happening where there was no agenda. I loved that. You're already doing it. Like it feels like you're already putting planners and people in events in that space where they can show up and have a voice.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I agree.
So what's next for Go West? Any big things for you? Are you looking forward, whether that's in 2026 or in the future? I know you teased a little bit about a way maybe people can keep connected throughout the year, but anything that you feel like, man, if we could go there in the next 5 years, any ideas of what that might be for you?
Oh boy, you're putting me on the spot. And because I don't really that, not really. I mean, it really, like I said earlier in our conversation, Go West is rewarding for us just seeing people being able to connect with other people. Um, because we really do work alone in the events industry. I mean, we might have our little, circle of people or a little circle of vendors or resources that we tap into. And it's just so neat at Go West to be able to introduce people to other ideas or other
Mm-hmm.
people that they might not have known about or maybe never had the opportunity to meet. I remember meeting somebody a few years ago. I had known them online and I had a certain perception of them. And I thought I just wasn't going to like them. I had no interest in getting to meet them, but we ended up at a dinner together, and I have a completely different impression of this person now. And just getting
Huh.
to know them outside of their online presence, I love this
Mm-hmm.
person. And they had so much more to offer than what I thought that they were about. And so I think sometimes we judge people based on their online presence or based on who we think they are. And just give people a chance, get to know them
Mm-hmm.
on a personal level. And I think you might actually be pleasantly surprised most of the time.
Oh, I love that. And it does take us just taking a beat, right? Sometimes just to take a pause, and in some ways even a little bravery, like just to allow ourselves to get curious. I love that so much. And what a great piece of advice for no matter where, if you're listening in, no matter where you're coming in from and what kind of work you're doing, that is one of the best, I think, pieces of advice for all of us, is to let go of some of those assumptions and allow ourselves to go there, and again trust ourselves that we're going to know who's a great fit for us, who is not, at the end of the day, but allowing yourself to go there and have the conversation.
Because on the flip side, I've also been so looking forward to finally meeting somebody in
Yeah,
and then meeting them, and the conversation just falls flat. And I'm like,
right.
that is not at all what I expected. I thought I was so aligned with this person and we were just going to be best buds, but then you meet in person and it isn't
Yep.
what you think it's going to be. So I think in-person meetings are so crucial. I don't know if you remember, Lisa, the first time you and I met was at the Calgary Event Awards.
Oh, right.
You came up to me and introduced yourself to me and said how much you enjoyed the program and stuff. And I will never forget that. And it really
Huh.
that's such a great example for me to just make sure that you are going up and introducing yourself. It's, people find it awkward, but it's really not. You're just going up, introducing yourself, saying a kind word to somebody, and then, moving on. And that
Hmm.
interaction with you, I will never forget it. It was a grueling night. Putting on events is always like so exhausting. And just having you come up after and introduce who you were and just saying how much you enjoyed the show and how great it was, it really
Hmm.
meant so much to me. And I find now that I try to pass that on to other people, and just it doesn't have to be a long 10-minute conversation. Just an introduction and a kind word is just goes so far.
Oh, that is so special. Thank you so much for saying that. And I remember that it was a great show. I wasn't just saying it. And again, innovative, right? Like you were doing something different that hadn't been done. And I admire that. And what you have done, what you will do, I know you're not done yet. There's lots more to come. So thank you so much for taking the time to have this conversation with me. It's so great to get to know you even here a little bit deeper. And it's our Manitoba roots, maybe. Maybe that's a common denominator too. But thank you so much for all of this. Would there be any last thought, it doesn't have to be advice, but just a last thought for those that are listening in today?
I probably just get involved and get connected to people, whether it's through something like Go West or another industry event, or I know there's some, I'm speaking now to the events people who might be listening, and there's event associations like MPI or ILEA or PCMA. Get involved and get connected to people. You will be surprised how much it will help you and grow you personally and professionally. So don't be shy.
Amazing. Don't be shy. Absolutely. And where can they find you? Where can they find Go West? I'll put the links in the description below. So if you're listening to this, you can find the show notes. There's going to be a bunch of links there. But can you tell us where they can find Go West and register? There's still time. By the time this comes out, it'll be about a month-ish before Go West. Let us know where they can find Go West.
GoWestLive.com is our website. We're also on Instagram and we're on LinkedIn as well. And our emails are there. Like, feel free to reach out if you haven't been to Go West and you want to know if there's a discount code that we can maybe offer you or some way to get you there. I think we have so many people who keep coming back year after year to Go West. So I think if you come once, you will understand and get what it's all about, and you'll be back again. So we just need to get you there the first time.
Absolutely.
So
And thanks to Arlene, to you, and to Brent for a code. So in Candy, we've got a code that if you want to come, and you don't have to be from Calgary or even from Alberta, but if you just reach out to me, then I can share that code with you as well. I would love to take, because someday we'll have a bus coming from, or at least a shuttle coming from Calgary and heading up to Edmonton, and talk about bonding. There's nothing like being in a shuttle together and bus together going to something like this. So thank you again, Arlene, for all of your insight today and just for sharing your world as a connector. And it's just been a real inspiration and a joy to me to have this conversation with you today. Thanks so much.
Thank you.
The Connector Next Door podcast is produced by Candy Event Consulting, where everyday event planners and their teams gain clarity, get connected, and grow in confidence. Subscribe at www.candyconsulting.ca to hear visits with everyday event planners who are putting connections first.